What's up, guys? What's up? So, I wanted to talk today about drawing references and where do we find references for drawing and how do we develop our ideas from those references. So, I'm going to give you my top 5 places that we can find references and be able to use them and put them in our own drawings for our, I don't know what for, but let's find out. Today I wanted to talk about top 5 places to find references for your drawings. So how do we find that? I'm going to give you a link to my website. And the reason is because some of the content I won't be able to show on this platform because, well, not safe for work. Well, we'll just put it that way, or NSFW. Thing is that I'll put that link up there and all that sort of good stuff so you can find them and be able to play around with it and get an idea of the different references that are really out there and the top 5 that I end up using from time to time. Before we get to that though, I think it's important to point out the big thing about any references that you go out and find is the most important thing is have a list of goals. What's your goals? You see, the thing is, when you're going on the internet, it's easy to get distracted and go down this rabbit hole or that rabbit hole, and suddenly you're in Alice in Wonderland and you have no idea what's happening. And, well, that's the World Wide Web for those that are brand new to it. But for the rest of us, it's easy to get lost. It's easy just to wander down this path or that path and really lose your get misdirected. And I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm just so bamboozled by the idea of what is the internet. Good luck. But the thing of it is that have a list of goals. Have a list of things that you can be able to write down as far as what's your purpose in the direction that you're ultimately wanting to go with your artwork, with your drawings. Next thing to start off with is a few sketches. Draw down a few ideas in terms of what you're looking for, be it posture, position, just overall the structure of the figure. Are they skinny? Are they fat? Are they chubby? Are they tall? Are they wide? Are they short? So on and so forth. What do those things look like? And start drawing them down. No one has to see these ideas. They're yours. They are yours alone. Put them in a sketchbook. It can be any sketchbook. It really doesn't matter. A piece of paper, a napkin. It really doesn't matter. The other thing is, along with those sketches, write down a list of ideas. Again, facial expressions. I need a facial expression on XYZ. I need this to be smiling, angry, whatever it might be. These are the hand gestures I'm after. Are they on the hip? Are they over here? Are they over there? Wherever they are, I need to have a list of what I'm after. Again, that way, so we're not wasting time going down some whatever rabbit hole that the internet provides. Also, clothing. What sort of clothing am I after? Is it in this century, past centuries, future, wherever it is in time? Is it dealing with military? Is it dealing with science? All those different topics are really important. Write them down. Again, you might not have a clue in terms of how to draw any of these things, so you have to start developing a database, and this is where you start. Same thing, vehicles. If you're searching for a particular vehicle or wanting to create a vehicle, it all starts off with a base vehicle that already exists. Then you grow and develop from there and combine different ideas that you're interested in. The other last thing that I would say about any type of, reference that you're going after, give yourself time limit. Now, the big thing with any kind of project that I ever do, the key to that project is being able to block out how much time is going to be spent on that project. So then you know that when you're estimating or giving an estimate to an individual, a client, that sort of thing that is hiring you out, or even for yourself, you want to be able to be directed with the time you're given for that project. And so that, again, you're not wandering here, wandering there. As creatives, we are great at that. We tend to wander all over the place, but we lose our focus. So set yourself a time limit. For me, generally, I try to set 15 to 10 minutes of really specific focused time for whatever I'm looking for, to give it as a guide for myself to be able to, again, not waste time on the internet, which is, believe me, we all have done it. But that leads me to the last part: be focused. Along with all these sort of things that you're doing, if it's about an hour of research time, you've given yourself 45 minutes to really hash out these ideas, write down your list, sketching. That amount of time that you're sketching, let's say 30 minutes, that's a lot of time to sketch a lot of different ideas, and that's going to give you plenty of information along with your list that you've developed. And then overall, then you know exactly what you're after in that 10 to 15 minute time period. Then from there, you're ultimately giving yourself a focused perspective of what type of work you're after in terms of references to be able to put it all together. Now, with that being said, you're like, well, Eli, I really like working from imagination. That's good, and you should. But you also need to look at reference art. Even the best of the best that work from their imagination and their imagination alone, they always go back and they have this process set in place to be able to research things out, develop the idea, and then when they should just start doodling on the wall, it looks like it's all from their imagination. Well, in reality, there was lots of research that took place before that. Now, are other individuals blessed with sort of the idea of a photographic memory? Yes, that's good and great for you if you have that. But for the rest of us mere mortals, it's important to still research that out, develop that base, have a focused time period, and then go after it. So that caveat of that being said, so this is kind of my list. So Pinterest, an excellent site in terms of all the different things that you have it. And the good thing about Pinterest is there's lots of really good things. It's an excellent search database. You're going to get excellent search results out of that database, just like if you would go to Google or that sort of thing. That being said, I do like DuckDuckGo for really just overall search engine searches, in part because they're not going to track you and all that sort of fun stuff. But Google has a little bit better, especially for images, to give you that wide variety. That being said, Pinterest is probably my favorite because it's going to give you a much more directed, and sometimes you can click on a photo and it gives you more references of, oh, I wasn't thinking in that perspective, and give you a whole list of other references. The bad side to that is it can easily get you distracted and going down a rabbit hole that is rather meaningless. So just be sure that if you're using Pinterest, be focused. Next option that I have is QUICKPOSE. Now, QUICKPOSE is a really cool site where really the good thing about QUICKPOSE is that it's a great site to really practice your speed training or really your gesture drawing, to capture that idea of whatever those figures or figure is in. And there are lots of random, and it gets sort of where you can set a time as far as how long, and you can also set up how long each photo is up and how many, and all those sort of things, and kind of the rough generality if there's action versus if they're clothed, and so on and so forth. The downside to that is it's hard to find references there, but it's great practice. And that's the biggest thing that I could say with any of this stuff for references is practice, practice, practice. That's how you get from working from references to your imagination. is truly through practice, and QUICKPOSE definitely provides that as an opportunity for you. Another one that's really good is a CROQUIS Cafe. If I said that right, sorry. If I said that wrong, sorry. But that's a really good site. Again, it's similar to QUICKPOSE in the sense that it's going to give you lots of poses. The nice thing about the cafe is it gives you nude figures, and that gives you the ability to really work from the ground up. Just like we all have to put on clothes in the beginning of the day, well, the same thing goes for, those that are working with human figures and drawing those human figures. In order to draw those figures well, you have to start off with a nude figure. And then from there, then you can start understanding how the clothes fit on the figure. If it's a heavy fabric or, loose fabric, or where it's going to bunch on the figure and all those sort of things. This gives you the basis because it's going to help you start that path of understanding the simplicity, the simple parts of muscular movements, and ultimately building upon those based upon your needs or your creation needs. And that kind of brings me to my next reference, which is number 4, which would be Posespace. Now, the really good thing about Posespace is there's lots of good references there, or nude references for your figure drawing. The thing about it, though, is, and this is kind of the bad thing, now they do have lots of options, be it sitting, be it action, be it standing, tons of different poses. But the downside to it is each bundle, and I think each bundle carries somewhere around 20 or so photos with them, generally orienting around a singular pose, where you're on the left side or the right side or behind the figure or in front of the figure. Gives you lots of those, but the downside to it is it does cost, I think, about $5.99 per picture, or rather per bundle. And so keep in mind that. So that's kind of the downside. And that brings me to my last one, PhotoBash. Now, PhotoBash is a really good site to give you all sorts of things, anywhere from armor to vehicles to places, locations, all of that, in tons, and I mean tons of different photo references. Now, this site kind of has two downsides. One is you're not going to necessarily find a good figure to work off there unless you're working from armor or you're working off of just developing an overall costume. Great place for that, or a vehicle or location. The downside is the database is still growing, but I see lots of potential with this particular database. The other downside to this is it does cost money, and I believe it's somewhere between $10 and $15 per bundle. Again, similar to Posespace, you get tons and tons of different tons of photos per bundle, but you are paying money for those bundles. And, hopefully you found that helpful, and hopefully gives you some direction in terms of finding references for your work. And certainly if you like this type of video, and if you don't, thank you for sticking around this long. Appreciate it. But if you like this video, like, subscribe, all that sort of good stuff. But even more important than that, I would love it if you go check out our comic book that we're working on. We're setting for a release. I don't know the release date in terms of where we are and what we're going with at this point in time, in part because of the lockdowns and all those sort of things, and where we're going to get this printed. There's a lot of questions. That being said, we're continuing our work. But if you go to our website, ElijahLoving.com, I think it's on, I don't even know, the last colony I think is the backslash. But in any case, you'll find the link in the top of ElijahLoving.com. There you'll find a red button to subscribe as just an email subscription, so you can stay up to date to that. That really helps us so that we know we have enough of a potential backing to ultimately help us launch this project whenever we get to it. In the sense, or whenever we're able to get this Betty launched. Again, there's a lot of questions in terms of when we're able to do this. We don't know at this point in time. I have to be honest with you. But we're continuing to work as best as we can. Continue to work on our pages, our panels, type pencil on into the whole creative process of developing it into a final comic book, and then ultimately into a graphic novel. But, well, in any case, appreciate you for sticking around this long. Really would love it if you could subscribe to that newsletter. And till next time, have a great day.
QuickPoSe.com